be able to understand that, if you're at that 89.9, if you've been in that classroom with that teacher more than, you can count, there's a pretty good chance you're going to get bumped up to that 90. It's because of that relationship that you've built. So relationship based, talk with those counselors, talk about, what is the tuition? What does the tuition include? Why would you be, spending this amount of money? Talk about what kind of idea you want to go to. Do you want to go to a 2-year at a JUCO? JUCOs are great. I'm a JUCO bandit myself. Like, you coached at a JUCO too, so you're very familiar with the world. There's a lot of value to that, but also got to understand the opportunities that you're going to get. Maybe you're a guy that can talk about, going to a post grad. Post grads, there's a lot of benefit in that, but at the end of the day, you got to understand what post grad you're getting yourself into. Is it just, because of certain socioeconomic status, you're getting that pull, or is it like, I am a little bit underdeveloped and I got to spend a little bit more time in the weight room and I got to work on my own, honing my skills and getting quicker, faster, stronger. It could be just opportunity. It could be, I want to go train. I want to be able to do those things, and being able to be in those situations will help you. 4-year, yeah, it's going to be beneficial because you're going to put yourself on track to graduate, in 4 years. If you go to a 2-year, there's chances that you might have classes that won't transfer. So you got to take another bigger workload within that semester. So it's being able to have those conversations with those counselors. I think overall, it's great to have an organization like Sports Force that has the ability to come into you guys and be able to set up those videos. I mean, working with you, Caleb, it's really great because I'll come to you and I'll say, hey, these are my needs for 2026 or my needs for 2027. Do you have a couple of those in line? And because of your database, because of how big Sports Force is, we're able to have that interconnection of community of coaches to recruiter or advisor, right? And I think that's, sorry, my lights went off. But to be able to have that navigating tool for you, I think, you have a wealth of knowledge and be able to help guide parents, right? Be able to say, yeah, we want to leverage a certain scholarship offer versus another one. And I get it. Like, I was a highly recruited guy, so I understand. I did it. Like, oh, well, coach, I'm waiting for this, but you can't, it's not a waiting game, right? You got to really look at it and say, hey, this is the place that I want to be. It has, the coaching staff that I like. It has the players that I like. It has the academics that I like. It has the facilities that I like. It has, the things that are important to my foundation or my moral compass that I really want to get myself involved into. So being able to navigate, like, what are your top 3 priorities within your college decision? I ask that question a lot. And, there's a lot of guys that, may not have the ability to articulate that vision, at that age. So it's being able to have that constant, collaborative conversation back and forth with someone that's going to advise you. Pay attention to what your high school coaches are doing, or your academy coaches, or your travel ball coaches. They're going to try to get the best for you. And so it's always great to have someone, but it's also great to, go out and reach out to that coach via email or sign up that recruiting questionnaire. There's a lot of questionnaires or recruiting forms that you can fill out. But then, on the website, call the coach, call him. He's going to get the voicemail and he's going to find a way to get in touch with you. But you got to have footage. I love the ability to recruit kids we have, 14 different states represented on our college in our college program. We have, one international player. We had an international player last year from Australia. We're recruiting kids from Australia now. So, like, we as coaches, like, that we deal with the time difference. Even if you're from Hawaii and you want to come to Minnesota, like, we deal with those time differences and we play within our recruiting. But it's also being able to understand, if you don't quite have the funds to come on a visit, we do virtual visits. So it's being able to, communicate, and there's no right answer, right? Like, just be who you are, right? I think that's the biggest thing that I really like, is guys that are just confident in who they are as, 18-year-old kids, right? Being able to say, hey, this is what I'm good at, or this is what I need to improve. It's always great to be in touch with your strengths, but it's also really a valuable trait to be understanding of, like, hey, I need to get my 60 time down to a 6.9, right? I'd like to get under that 7. I want to try to get faster with, my stealing of bags, right? Like, I want to, have good attempts. Like, it's great to have the exit velocity, exit, launch angle. Like, those are great. But I think, the metrics that we're looking for, as pitchers, velo is good, but, you can't, like, the Lord knows how you're going to develop, but you got to do your part too by putting yourself into a system that is going to develop you. And there's a lot of, evidence that we can bring into the table as far as, hey, when this guy came in his freshman year, he was throwing 78 to 79, but he was in the weight room every week, 4 days a week. He started to eliminate soda. He eliminated all the energy drinks, and he started eating better. He started getting quality sleep, and he started journaling, so his mental was a little bit better. And now he's up to 93, 94, right? And so, like, there's a lot of those building grounds. And obviously, when you get guys that develop that well, then there's the transfer portal. So how do you keep them, right? And so the one thing that I'm really excited about from our coaching staff is our retention is above 90%, right? And so I think that's huge when you talk about just the structure of college, right? Like, and I can't speak for any other athletic program here at Crown, but being able to retain 90% of your roster is such a valuable, attribute, right? You got guys that graduate, right? You got guys that, maybe want to go back closer to home, family stuff, could be injury. But, being able to stick in part of it, like, we'll find you an opportunity to be able to be here at Crown. So to help guide you, grades number one, right? Be a part of a community that you respect. Go, try not to get advice from every single individual that has a pulse. Try to get some advice from a reliable source, right? A reliable source that is, continually reaching out to college coaches, that are continually understanding what it takes to get into that, that conversation with those coaches. But it's also being able to, you got to be able to understand, you may not have the maturation process quite there, but you're building up your resiliency. You're building up that, hey, I got to take a step, right? I may have sounded silly on that first phone call, but give it that second phone call, that third phone call, that fourth phone call, and then you can really open up and talk about, really who you are as a person, right? Like, we always ask questions about mom and dad and, hobbies and academics, and then we ask, what does a typical day in the life of a puller look like?